2 years, perhaps looking at implementing GAR once the growth trajectory reaches close to about 7%. But in the meanwhile, the finance minister will, of course, be taking into account the views of these tax experts and industrialists in really deciding perhaps what the roadmap looks like for GAR going ahead, and whether at all, if at all, it will be implemented from the 1st of April of this year. Back to you.
Thanks, Goranga. We will be watching for that crucial meeting later today, but there's live visuals coming in from the Max India board meeting, which has approved the corporate recast plan. Anuraljeet Singh speaking. Let's listen in.
Why does everybody start with... I've never seen it anywhere else. They just go to the podium, to the dais, whatever, and they start. Oh, okay, volume, that's better. But how come in India, whenever anybody picks up the mic like that, विदेश में अब आगे आओ ना, अच्छा अच्छा अच्छा, तो आप कैमरा के आगे आ जाओ, उसमें क्या? So I'm wondering why every time, anywhere you go in India, people like that. Doubting Thomas. No, it's because my personal view is the two biggest social changes I've seen in our country over the last 10-15 years. One is seat belts. Seat belts in the car. You very, very rarely see any driver, taxi, private car, private driver, as late as you may be, "Arey bhai, jaldi karo," he will put his seat belt on and then he'll move. And the other big social change I've seen is business punctuality. So business punctuality has gone like that. Social punctuality continues to go that way, at least in North India. This North India is a very strange place. Delhi is a totally crazy place. But this has not changed. Okay. I want to first start by welcoming you, not because of formality, but because of the support we have, and may I say I have personally enjoyed from the media, from the press for a long, long time. And I appreciate not being misquoted, I appreciate being supported, and I appreciate that there's mutual respect between us. So thank you. I honestly mean that. And some of you I've known for a long time and you're friends. So I want to preface the start of this meet by using some words that I used at the start of the board meeting which just concluded. And basically I said to them that everybody, thanks to Arun, was somewhat aware of what this meet was about. But I said God has again been on our side. Because imagine if we were having this meeting on January 27th, 2014. The sentiment, the feeling would not have been the same. So the environment and the actual ingredient of the, not a perceived ingredient or a perceived feeling, but the actual ingredient of the environment in which we sit today in India with our new Prime Minister and government is actually a very different scenario, different feeling, different tone, different everything. So it feels like this is what we are doing, what we have announced, what we are going to talk about now. It was possibly in the continuum of life destined that it should come not only the good thing or the right thing or doing the right thing the right way, but also at a great time. Because the cycle in which we are now is a big booster to what we are about to, share with you. And also it should come in a week, which is around Republic Day, which is around the time of President Obama's visit, with what has happened in the last few days during Mr. Obama's visit, what happened in the ET summit a week or so ago. So ye kuch mahal and timing of this event by our good fortune is very nice and very welcome. So on that note, what are we here to talk about? So we have been taken the shape over the years of a mini conglomerate of sorts. We were a mini conglomerate in our past 2000 when we divested lots of businesses and started these new businesses. And then we took the shape again of a mini conglomerate. And I must have been hearing for the last 10, 15 years from many friends, advisors, board members, aspects of holding company discount, lack of confusion, people not interested to invest in your stock because they're interested in one sector, you're forced to get into other sectors. The research in various analyst firms is more focused on one sector, you're forcing them to understand another sector. So only a lot of hodgepodge. And also very difficult to have a press meet. If somebody sat with you and said, what business are you in? Barring giving a very high level definition of saying, we are in businesses of social good, mainly in insurance and healthcare. You could never get into details because I learned back in business school that if you cannot describe what business you are in one sentence, then you don't know what business you are in. So a lot of this backdrop and the success of particularly our life insurance and healthcare businesses led us to believe that time has now come, in the fullness of time, now to, as it were, the technical word is, demerge the various businesses of the Max India Group into 3 clusters. The 3 clusters being, 1, a company which will be called Max Financial Services, which is actually the current Max India of today, will be rechristened Max Financial Services, to house under it exclusively our 74% ownership in Max Life. So more or less it will be a surrogate listing of the life insurance business. Second, a new company which will be renamed Max India Limited, to hold under it 3 businesses: Max Healthcare, Antara Senior Living, and Max Bupa. And the third vertical to be called Max Ventures and Industries Limited. Please appreciate the choice of the name, and I'll share more about that in a minute before I hand over to Rahul. That is our current plastics or BOPP business. But the reason we've given it that name is actually and genuinely and honestly in response to 2 things. That over the last 12, 13 years, the entrepreneurial spirit that is resident in the Max Group has been all focused on our insurance and healthcare businesses. And on any given week when we have had people wanting to talk to us about new business opportunities, we have said, thank you, but no thank you, because we are focused. But with that untapped potential in India's context today, and with the unleashing of the theme and vision of the Prime Minister, make in India, make for India, make by India, call it what you like, we feel it's time again to revisit the wider world of business opportunities available in India. And so as not to crowd or confuse investors who are really interested in insurance or really interested in the more or less health vertical, health insurance, healthcare, Antara, all health and life related, we have chosen to call that company Max Ventures, because there will be hopefully different ventures, and it will not shy away from going back into industry again. Industry, not manufacturing. Anything can be industry. You could be growing olive trees and making olive oil, that's an industry. You could be making any equipment parts, it could be industry. Therefore, very carefully chosen Max Ventures and Industries Limited. And I, in a slightly more casual, informal note, I said, Rahul, that name also means MVIL, means Max Will. I've been very influenced and inspired by the Prime Minister, so I started thinking along these lines. And we didn't 1 year ago. That's what I was trying to tell you. So it's very fortunate that this is all rolling into this time. The leadership of all the operating businesses will remain unchanged, which is Mr. Rajesh Sood at Max Life, Rajat Mehta, who was the COO of Max Life was moved last year to Max Healthcare. So he will lead that business. Mr. Vadwa, Jaideep Vadwa, what is now called MBIL. Tara Singh Bachani as the CEO of Antara Senior Living. And we are on the search for a new leader for our Max Bupa Insurance Company. That leaves only one business to address, which is what we call our CRO business, Clinical Research Organization business. And eventually and finally, we have decided to divest that business. Too many environmental regulatory issues, too much execution risk. It didn't see light of day or the scale that we wanted to see. So we are exiting that business to a Canadian company for a nominal amount of value. It's more a part of a cleanup job than any heavy-duty divestment. And basically with that, you see a very cleaned up structure of the Max India Group. We are cleaning it up to the extent that if current shareholders in Max India don't see value in our plastics BOPP business, the valuations of which are actually very meager, then the promoter family has decided to make an open offer up to how many percent? 75. Up to 75%. We are sitting at about 41% today to make an open offer to acquire an additional, whatever, 25% share. So going up to 75%. So whatever, 33, 34%. So for every one share of Max, you will get one share of, for every 100 shares of Max, you'll get 100 shares of Max Financial Services. Yeah. For every 100 shares of Max, you will get 100 shares of Max India Limited, which is holding those three businesses. And for every 100 shares of Max, you will get 20 shares of Max Ventures Industries Limited. And is for people to decide to keep, not to keep, etc. So totally cleaned up structure. For communication, transparency, boards, management, reporting, investors, investment, loan funding, export potential, everyone working to its own. So the conductor and master of ceremonies of this whole circus will continue to be Rahul, ably assisted by our Deputy Managing Director. Share roles in some ways, some more, some less. Once we've decided what we're going to do at the end of the day, we'll talk a little bit about that. I personally wish to, these other businesses are well done, to give more of my time to Antara and to Max Ventures Industries Limited, because I think that's what I do best.
All right, one corporate development to the other. That's the Max India press briefing there. But Maruti came up with earnings some time back. Let's go across and listen into the con call.
Share is a favorable foreign exchange.